In today's video, we are going to be working on my old dirt bike, my old mini bike. A little bit change of pace for around here, but I've owned this thing since it was brand new. This is a 2002 Honda This is a 2002 Honda Xr50. So this was, I think, a couple years before. I believe in 2005 or 2004, they switched to the name CRF50, but this was an Xr50. And I did a lot of things back in the day to it, just to make it a little bit more fun, a little bit more rideable for an adult. So you can see it doesn't have the front end on it. I took it off because when we brought everything down, when I brought stuff from my mom's house, I brought my toolbox and a bunch of other stuff, and it was just easier to fit in my truck with the front end off. And at the same time, it gives me a chance to re-grease these bearings. So this thing has not ran in about 10 years. It has a 75cc big bore on it. I think it was 75. I know it's not an 88, but I think it's like a 75 or something like that. I actually won it in a race on the pit bike. So there was a pit bike race that we entered a long time ago, and if you won, you got a 75cc big bore, so that's what's in it. And I'm going to essentially, there's no gas in it right now, but what I'm hoping is we'll put the front end back on, at least so that it's movable. I'm gonna take the carburetor off, we'll clean it, probably drop the oil or check it. I'm kind of impartial to that. I want to change the oil, but I'm wondering if I should just start it just to let it circulate and warm up a bit and then dump it. But either way, oil change, clean the carb, put some fresh fuel in it, get the front end back on it, and then we'll see what we got. And then this is going to be like a several part series. And let me know what other stuff you guys want to see, because I want to bring some new life into this thing. The seat is not a stock seat. It's actually two like original seat foams stacked on top of each other. So it's 250 seat foams stacked on top of each other with like a Honda CR250 seat cover on top of it. And I want to put the newer style plastics and graphics on it as well. Bunch of stuff. It's kind of rusty, so I want to clean things up. I want to get the newer, the aftermarket wider pegs so that they don't like kind of hurt your feet when you're on it with shoes and stuff. And yeah, we'll do a bunch of stuff. Leave a suggestion down below what you guys want to see on this thing. It does have a eye shock on it, I think it was called. Yeah, you can see there. So it's got a little shock with a reservoir on it that was upgraded. It's got a pro circuit exhaust on it. I think it's like a T4 or something like that. The sticker is rubbed off on it at this point in time, but she's got some goodies on her. It's got some BMX handlebars. Actually, I'll show you the front end. The bars are all rusty. I think the bars are, I don't even know where they are. They're around here somewhere. Here's the front end. It's got like I think it was like a 2-inch lower fork, so it raises it more, and it's got stiffer springs in it. Anyways, let me go ahead, reassemble the thing, and then we'll go from there. Clean off the bearings with a little brake clean, and then we'll get some new fresh grease on here. Okay, so we got the little bearings all cleaned up. So I'm gonna go ahead, put some new grease on here, and reassemble the front end. That way this thing is not just sitting here all stranded. Bearings are grease, let's throw the forks on. So next up, I've got a BBR upper triple clamp. So I don't know if we're gonna end up keeping this long term, if we end up probably upgrading the front forks, but for now, let's throw on the triple clamp, throw on the bars, and I can move this thing around a little bit easier. The bars are on, and now I've got some way to handle this thing. So I'm gonna go ahead, it's only 2 bolts that hold the carb on, you guys, so I'm just gonna remove them. They're right here, you can actually access them from the front. So 2 8mm. Then we'll undo the carb. This unscrews, so we'll take out the top and the slide. Disconnect our fuel line, which is as easy as just pulling it off right here. Our fuel's already turned off and there's no fuel in the system, so we'll do that and we'll get the carb out of here. Okay, so 2 8mm bolts are loose, and then our fuel line is all hard and just broke, so that takes care of that. Slide is out, and we can just take this thing right out of here. There's gonna be the drain, but you can usually, I say usually, slide this out of here, and then our carb is free. So I'll bring this over to the bench. This carb is so simple that it won't be a big deal. Take out the 2 Phillips screws on the bottom, check it, clean it out, and make sure she is hopefully good to go and not all jammed up with a bunch of nastiness. Okay, here's a moment of truth. I think I might have drained the fuel out of this, or got my mom to, of all crazy things. I seem to remember walking her through opening up this little flat so that she could drain the fuel, because I wasn't there. But let's see how nasty it is or isn't. This will tell us in 2 seconds. Oh, maybe not. Take that back. So you can see all this gooey varnish stuff. So that's what happens when fuel sits around in a bowl. So let's rinse all this out, and then we'll proceed to clean out the carb. Again, this carb is not going to be that complicated. But we'll take out the main jet, run some either brake cleaner or carb cleaner, whatever one I have available to me. I'll run it through all the different little jets, and it shouldn't take much, but let me clean this out. So next up, I just removed the screw there from the float, and then our needle jet just pops out. So looks to be in good shape, but we'll run some fluid through there. And I might have to get a smaller flat, but that main jet does not look healthy, so we'll take that out and see if we can clean that up as well. There we go. Smaller flat. Ew, let's see how she looks. Not the worst, not the best. So anyways, that's pretty much all there is to the carb, you guys. There's really not much to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean everything out, clean out this main jet, we'll reassemble it, and then we'll put it back on the bike. Okay, so we got everything cleaned up, you guys. I'm not gonna bore you with that. Just essentially just get yourself a can of brake clean or carburetor cleaner and just run it through all the various ports. Your fuel inlet, make sure you have fuel that's able to enter the bowl. Your main jet, make sure that is spraying nicely. Run it through here, and like I said, just the various pathways, and just run fluid through it and make sure everything's clear. So now we'll go ahead, reinstall it. I'm gonna put my float back in. We'll put our needle back on here, reassemble that, install our main jet, put the bowl back on, and we should hopefully be good to go here. I'm also gonna go ahead and clean this air filter because it has definitely seen better days. Okay, car's back together, filter's clean. We're gonna go ahead and throw this thing back on, and we'll move on to the next step. So I took off the whole old fuel line. It was absolutely brittle, and I don't know if, yeah, there you go. It literally is just snapping in half anywhere that I pinch it. So I'm gonna put on some new stuff, look at that, and we'll get this new stuff on here. All right, so next up, before I actually connect the fuel line to the carb, I'm gonna put some new fuel in here and just let it run through here. Just make sure that no nasty junk comes out of here, and then I'll connect it to our carb. Okay, so I'm getting some weird response from the actual fuel shutoff. So if I turn it to on a little bit, I get gas coming out, but if I turn it to on fully, it starts leaking out of the actual valve itself, so it's like the seal's gone. If I turn it to reserve, I get nothing out of the line, so probably gonna need to do something with this, but for now, let's at least see if we can get it to turn on and run. So look, if I turn it there, it's a little bit on, but if I turn it on further, get more gas, but it's starting to trickle out of the actual valve. So I'm gonna see if there's somebody sells like a rebuild for this, but watch, if I turn it to reserve, nothing comes out. So kind of strange operation we got here. Look, if I turn it to a little bit of reserve, I get gas. Full reserve, it shuts off. If I turn it to on, then the actual valve starts leaking. So got some problems, but yeah. Okay, let's check the oil at least, and try to decide if I want to fire it on whatever oil's in here, or if I should replace it. The oil's actually not that bad, you guys. It's full, and it's actually pretty clean. So I think for the purposes of just starting it, just so that I can warm it up and then drop this oil, I think we're good on that. So yeah, because the oil's still pretty golden actually. Let's go ahead and see if we can turn the gas valve on, at least to fire it, and see if we get any action. So let's go ahead, take this thing off the stand. Let's see if maybe we get some action. All right, you guys ready? So let me try, let's try with choke. Usually this thing likes a bit of choke, so this thing has been sitting since 2014. So this is, yeah, right now it's New Year's Eve. So this is like, it's like 8 years or so. right there. It sounded like it started there for a second. Holy, need a little bit of throttle. That's crazy. Running a little rough, but it runs. Hey guys, so we got it working. That was the goal for today, but definitely needs some love and attention. And this here, like I said, if I turn it to on, it starts leaking out of the actual valve. I don't know if you guys can see that. But I'm gonna have to see if I can order some sort of rebuild for the actual valve. Not sure if there's a rebuild or just a replacement. I'd like to stick to Honda stuff since this is a real Honda machine, but either way. Okay, so I actually decided to take out the fuel valve, and she looks pretty nasty, you guys. So it only was held in by 2 bolts. I'm gonna see if I can clean this thing up. Also, this is the OEM one, the original Honda one. You can see it has 2 rivets here, but it is leaking from inside. So potentially, if I took out these 2 rivets, drill them out, I might be able to take it off, and I'm sure there's just an O-ring in here. I would prefer to keep the OEM piece if possible, because I don't really want to put in any aftermarket ones, but let me see what's going on with this. This thing, actually, the more I look at it, it might just be absolutely disintegrated. I'm seeing holes and all kinds of stuff in this thing. Probably actually not any saving this. All the mesh and net is just disintegrating, so it's probably blocking our fuel, if I had to guess. I don't know if this actual cage will come off. The cage at this point, the filter is just absolutely wrecked. See. Okay, so cage is off. I wonder how it determines how and where it can get. So that's got to be the reserve, or the regular on, and then the reserve I would assume is at the bottom of the tank somewhere. Probably down here. Let me see if I can pop this off. Okay, so the 2 rivets are off. Let's see what we got underneath this faceplate here. Okay, so yeah, there's like a little diaphragm in here, you guys. Looks like. I think that's originally supposed to be rubber. Yeah. I think this thing is supposed to be rubber, and it is just seen better days. She's no longer rubber. It's like turned into plastic essentially. Unless I flip it, but yeah, this was supposed to at one point be rubber, and now it's just hard plastic, so she's no longer sealing this, what the deal is. I think in this case, it's gonna just make more sense to replace it. Also, you'll notice right here, this is completely blocked. So that's, I'm gonna guess that's our reserve. And it is just filled with goo. After like 8 years of sitting, she runs. Probably more than that, honestly, but It's definitely been 8 years at least. So I'm pretty happy that she runs. Comment down below what else you guys want to see on this thing. Like I said, I'm gonna go ahead, order that part, but at least our mission for today, you guys don't have to watch me change the oil. I'm sure that's not that exciting, but it runs. So I'm happy about that at least, but definitely needs a tune-up. But thanks for watching, guys. Hit the subscribe button if you guys want to see the continuation of this build. Like I said, I want to get it running, and then we'll get new plastics, start doing a bunch of upgrades to it, but we'll get it running right first, and then I'll continue from there. So I'll make a subsequent video once I order that part and it shows up, and then we'll continue to get this thing working even better, and we'll continue the process. So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next video.